A little over 19 years ago, a Siloam Springs man named Travis Roberson went missing in Fayetteville. 5 News reporter Parker Abels joins us now. And Parker, where does this case stand today?
Well, Rachel, on February 28, 2006, Travis Roberson went missing after a Mardi Gras party on Dixon Street in Fayetteville and never returned home. His sisters are still actively trying to find their brother. This case is currently being investigated by the Siloam Springs Police Department, but it took over 6 years for this case to be assigned to a department after a misunderstanding between Siloam Springs and Fayetteville PD, meaning the evidence and files for the case were gone. But despite that, his sister Sonia and Keisha Robertson never gave up hope and tell me no matter what happened, they just want their brother home.
Like you see like hear of trash bags or something on the side of the road, my heart just sinks like, oh God, is that my brother, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's rough. We don't know whether he's alive or
whatever. Anytime I see a story that gets shared of them finding a body, that's where I'm just like,
yeah, I'm like,
my heart just sinks.
If you have any information on this case, please call the Siloam Springs Police Department immediately. Parker Abels, 5 News.
The president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, met with world leaders today in London. This comes just 2 days after a heated Oval Office meeting with President Trump. Christian Benavides has the latest on the ongoing talks to stop Russia's war in Ukraine.
With warm embraces and handshakes, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy's reception at a European summit in London was a world apart from his meeting Friday in the Oval Office. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer pledged about $2 billion to supply 5,000 air defense missiles for Kyiv, now in the 4th year of its war with Russia.
The UK is prepared to back this with boots on the ground and planes in the air. Together with others, Europe must do the heavy lifting.
Starmer said he, along with Zelenskyy and French President Emmanuel Macron, agreed to work on a peace plan to present to the U.S., which has discussed brokering a deal.
To succeed, this effort must have strong U.S. backing.
Sunday's gathering followed the extraordinary public scolding of Zelenskyy by President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance.
Right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III.
It erupted on live TV just as the Ukrainian leader was to sign a multi-billion-dollar rare earth minerals deal that was scuttled in the dust-up.
You don't fly, a quarter across the world for a signing ceremony for a deal with the President of the United States and turn it into a debate on American security guarantees.
Zelenskyy spoke about the U.S.-Ukraine relationship. On Tuesday, the world will be listening closely for signals on Ukraine as President Trump heads to Capitol Hill to address a joint session of Congress. Christian Benavides, CBS News, Miami.
Reactions also coming in as the president signs an executive order designating English as the official language of the United States. He signed it yesterday, and the order allows government agencies and organizations that receive federal funding to choose whether to continue to offer documents and services in languages other than English.
Message is probably just that, it's try to be American first. And so I know there's a lot of illegal immigrants coming in, don't speak the language at all. And he wants it out there to be the culture, and people should, kind of assimilate and want to be Americans.
I think it's ridiculous. I don't think it's what we should be worrying about right now. We should be focused on the fact that we're spending $10 for a dozen eggs, and he said he was going to bring those prices down. And also, what about human rights issues? That's more important than declaring something the national language.
Trump rescinds a mandate from former President Bill Clinton that required the government and organizations that receive federal funding to provide language assistance to non-English speakers. Currently, there are more than 350 languages spoken in the United States. That's according to U.S. Census Bureau data. It's not only the surging cost of eggs that is making breakfast pricier these days. The price of coffee is also spiking. Right now, the cost of coffee beans are at a 50-year high. And reporter Kelly O'Grady looks into what's behind the rising prices.
It is a daily ritual for most folks.
Gregory Zemfotis is the founder and CEO of Gregory's Coffee.
a New York-based company that imports, roasts, and sells coffee across its 50 cafes nationwide. Zemfotis is feeling the price creep brewing in the industry.
How much coffee are you buying every year?
So this year we'll probably close in on 600,000 to 700,000 pounds of coffee.
Wow.
I would say about a year and a half to 2 years ago, the price was around $1.50 per pound, and as of recently, it went up to $4.50 almost. So that tripled.
Coffee bean prices have jumped nearly 20% since the beginning of the year. Severe drought and flooding over the past 2 years in Brazil and Vietnam have crippled bean production, where more than 50% of beans come from.
If your supply goes down, even in just one region, what does that do to the overall price?
When the crop in Brazil does not produce as much coffee as expected in the year, that causes the prices to shoot up.
How much of that are you passing on to the consumer versus hitting your margin?
We hope that the price will settle down and this is just a temporary adjustment to the pricing, but we do not attempt to do an immediate pass over to our guests.
The threat of tariffs from the Trump administration on major coffee producing countries could make coffee prices more volatile.
We try not to pass it along to the customers, but tariffs, you can't avoid that.
Kelly O'Grady, CBS News, New York.
Former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is getting back in politics. He officially announced his campaign to be the next mayor of New York City. He'll be on the Democratic ballot in a primary election set for this June, facing what's expected to be a large field of contenders, including current Mayor Eric Adams, who remains under indictment on federal corruption charges.
We're here today for one reason. We are here because we love New York and we know New York City is in trouble. You can feel it. You don't need to read statistics. You can feel it. You feel it when you walk down the street.
The campaign will be Cuomo's first since he announced his resignation as New York governor following sexual harassment allegations against him. The Vatican says Pope Francis is improving after another health scare at a hospital in Rome this weekend. They say he is in stable condition and no longer needs support from a ventilator. Supporters gathered outside the hospital this weekend where Francis has been receiving treatment for about 3 weeks now. He experienced a respiratory crisis on Friday and requiring the supplemental oxygen through yesterday. The Pope had part of one of his lung removed as a young man and has been hospitalized for a double pneumonia since February 14th. Well, it's out with the old and in with the new. A bridge off of a trail in Madison County is being rebuilt by Boy Scouts. A little over 20 years ago, a Boy Scout Eagle project built a bridge. Last fall, a flood came through Huntsville on Bear Hollow Creek and completely took out the bridge. But today, Boy Scout Troop 107B is partnering with Ozark Natural Science Center to rebuild that bridge and make it last for decades. Patrol leader Andrew Shellhammer says the process to rebuilding this bridge can be complicated.
A lot of planning and fundraising. That's the hard part, actually. The easy part is building the bridge, but I've got to plan the whole thing out in CAD. A lot of research. I've been in contact with a professor at the U of A, talking about foundations and because I want it to last as long as possible.
Shellhammer says he's already created a 3D model of the bridge. It's right there on your screen. And working on this bridge will help move him up for his Eagle Scout rank. We now know who bought that $180,000 lottery ticket last week in Elkins. The Arkansas Scholarship Lottery shared the news that the Fayetteville resident seen here, who only wanted to be known as Renee L., won the Natural State Lottery jackpot. He matched all the numbers in last week's drawing. He brought the ticket last Tuesday at a Shell station on Center Street in Elkins.